Welcome to a podcast here. I'm Nedra Russ, and I've had the pleasure to have an interview with Michael Rubin out of Austin, Texas. He is a master harmonica teacher, sideman, player, uh, just wonderful, quite a bit of knowledge, and this is fun. We're going to talk about his upcoming solo CD. All right, I'm here with Michael Rubin, and he's going to talk to us about some new projects he's got going on.
Yeah, thank you, Ninja. So, what I'm really talking about, I'm so excited, is I have a new CD that I've been working on. And for me, it doesn't seem so new because I've been working on this for a very long time. First off, this is a solo CD where I'm singing and writing the songs. And obviously, there will be other instruments backing me up, but this is the Michael Rubin CD, which is really the first time I've done this. I did put together Michael Rubin Call of My Harp, which is like a collection of songs that I've done with other people. But mostly I've been a side guy my whole life, and although I've run bands throughout my life, I never got serious about putting out my own CD. And I'm going to be 52 next month. If I don't start doing this stuff, it's not going to happen.
You've got to make it happen.
Right. And so I actually started working on it in 2019, and I had a producer, and I was all ready to go into the studio around March of 2020. And then, if you remember, that's when the COVID fear really started to hit in the media. And so, my wife, her work is where we get the health insurance for our family, including my two children. And her work was experiencing a tremendous drop in customers due to COVID. And there was concern that she might be let go. And she never was, but there was concern. And I had I had enough money to do the CD that I had been saving. And I looked at the situation and I thought it's better to save my money in case of emergency, because if it goes down to a one-income family, where we'd have to get COBRA for our insurance, that would not be good, right? And so I put the CD down until around May of this year. So around May, it doesn't mean that my wife couldn't lose her job at any moment, but around May I said, this is ridiculous. She's still got her job. COVID is, still here, but we've all kind of acclimated to it. And I need to start working on my dreams again. And so I called up the producer, and he was still willing to do it. And so he and I have been working together for a few months. And one of the main reasons, the guy's name is Josh Fulero. And Josh is a great harmonica player, so you guys may want to become aware of him. And he also is a guitarist and singer, and most recognized for his work with Marcia Ball, the pianist singer, and Jerry Portnoy, the harmonica player. So if you look at a lot of Jerry Portnoy's like touring stuff, Josh is often with him. So in Austin, there was this guy, Greg Iser, who's a harmonica player, and he was going to be my producer. And he worked with this band called the Little Elmore Reed Blues Band, which is a joke on Elmore James and Jimmy Reed. But this band has been around forever, and for a while included Dale Spalding, who is now the singer harmonica player for Canned Heat. And so in any case, Greg Iser was the harmonica player, and we were good friends, and he was going to be my producer. And then Greg moved to Spain. Oh. And he's still there. And so I said to Greg, who should I get to produce? And he said, Josh. And I'm real glad I did, because Josh is very smart, very knowledgeable, and very calm. And these are all great things. And he really has been able to guide me through this. I call us co-producers because I've done so much work on this thing. I feel like a producer myself, but he's really the lead producer. And one of the main reasons I hired Josh is because he took over for Greg in the Little Elmore Reed Blues Band. And the Little Elmore Reed Blues Band is filled with great players. So I kind of had my eye on using the band for my backup players. And so I wanted somebody to kind of be the guy to ask the other musicians. That wasn't me, right? I wanted Josh to say, hey, you know Michael Rubin? Well, he's doing an album. Instead of me saying, will you please play with me on my album?
Yeah, that helps.
And so it worked. And so not everybody in the Little Elmore Reed Blues Band is on the album, but it's Mike Keller on guitar, who you might know from the Fabulous Thunderbirds. He's no longer with them, but just a fantastic guitarist. And this week, we'll get deeper into this, but this week we were in the studio, and I said we should call this album the Mike Keller featuring Michael Rubin album, because it's so good. I mean, he's just one of the best guitarists in the world right now, and I can't believe I'm lucky enough to have him on my record. And then on bass, both electric and stand-up, is Michael Archer, who also plays with the Marshall Ball Band. And then and on drums is Mark Hayes, who not only plays with Little Elmore Reed, but plays with Guy Forsyth. I'm not sure if you're aware of Guy Forsyth, but he's a harmonica player, guitarist, singer, who is just one of the most famous people in Texas. And he and I are good friends, actually. I actually considered asking Guy to produce the album. So Mark has worked with Guy. So these are all hopefully harmonica players, Josh and Guy and Greg Iser, that y'all can check out. And if you don't know about Jerry Portnoy, who I also mentioned, I mean,
well, of course. So when we're done with this podcast, I'd like you to shoot me over all the names so that I can put it under the podcast so everyone can look everybody up. I'll even put links to their websites to help everybody find this information. My goodness, you've got a charmed happening, I guess is what you call it. It's fallen into place for you there. Yeah. That's fabulous.
So the studio is this place called Six String Ranch. It's run by this guy, Matt Smith, who is an engineer, but he's also a mixer. We have not found our master, the guy who's going to do the mastering yet, or the person who's going to do the mastering. But that's coming. So, we got some extra musicians. There's going to be a pianist who I'm not exactly sure who Josh has got signed up, and they'll also play some organ. And then I don't know if you know the band Squirrelnut Zippers, but Dr. Sick is the fiddle player for them and guitarist. And Sick and I were in a band years ago called Six Pack, and he lives in New Orleans, but we've sent the tracks over to him, and he's going to play fiddle on 2 tracks. And then I don't know if you know my band, the McMurcy Family Band, but it's an old-time country gospel band, and it's a 5-part harmony band, singing harmony. And so they're going to sing back up on a couple of tracks. So it really should be a very special album.
Oh, sounds like it.
So one of the things I feel like makes this album different is it's not just a harmonica player singing 10 Little Walter covers. All these songs are mine. And I don't know if you're aware of Little Charlie and the Nightcats.
Yes.
But so most blues fans are. And now Rick Estrin and the Nightcats. So Rick Estrin, if you don't know, is one of the greatest harmonica players that ever lived, and a very nice guy.
I do know this. Rick, we go to his shows. I bring every one of our friends, and we arrive at the theater, and we get to visit with him. And yes, he's local. He'll
So you live close to Sacramento, right?
Yeah. He's kind of a local favorite.
Yeah, but he's internationally famous, and And not only is, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest showmen that ever lived, he's one of the best songwriters in the blues.
100% agree.
And one of the things that he does is he brings humor into his blues.
Yes.
So when I was in college, I went to Sonoma State. So there were two clubs nearby, the Cotati Cabaret, which is in the county of Sonoma, and Slim's, which was in San Francisco. I don't think either of them are around anymore, but they were really wonderful clubs. And I would go to see Little Charlie and the Nightcats every time. And every time I would go backstage, and Rick would be happy to see me and give me 15 minutes of his time and listen to me play and give advice to me. And I remember one time we were playing together, and just he got this huge sound and I did not, and it was anyway, it was an amazing time, and it really went on for the entire 4 years I was in college, and but the point of the story is I became convinced that humor and blues was the ultimate combination. And I'm not saying that Rick is my only influence. I like guys like James Harmon and Sonny Boy Williamson #2, Rice Miller, and Mose Allison, who's not, I don't know, he's kind of straddles blues and jazz. And I like some guys outside, like Jonathan Richman and Dave Bromberg and Loudon Wainwright III. So, but I always was attracted to the whole humor thing. So these songs, they all have a sense of humor to them. And I hope when you get to hear them that you'll really enjoy them, and that, that it won't just be a musical pleasure for you, that your funny bone will be healed as well. And so I've been writing the songs, and some of the songs I've had forever, like 3 songs you might have heard of before, because I've just been doing them forever. Beer Belly Baby, Kama Sutra Girl, and Little Rabbit have been, but the rest of them are written just for this CD, including the title of the album, I'll Worry If I Wanna. I am a worrying man, and I am tired of people telling me, just relax. I will worry if I wanna. To me, worrying is comfort food. I can't understand why worrying makes people uncomfortable. For me, worrying makes me comfortable. So, we're all different. But in any case, that's the title of the album. And so just this week, we went into the studio to start recording. And so what we did this week is, it was the bass, drums, and guitar, and myself, and the engineer, Matt Smith and Josh. And I would sing and play harmonica, but we used what's called scratch recordings, which means that the band could hear me in their headphones, so that they could kind of have an idea where they were in the song. And I was getting recorded, but with the understanding that most likely we weren't going to use those recordings unless magic struck. It was mostly just a way to help us keep track of where we were in the songs. And in a few weeks, I'm going to go in and record my parts for real. That making sense?
That makes sense.
Right.
I was going to ask you how you do that, how you bring it to them. Do they want written out music, or do you that type of thing, because it's all, each part's different.
Every musician is different in terms of how they communicate.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Nashville number system, but let's say you had a song in the key of C, and you looked at the C major scale, and the notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, all the white notes, and you would play them in that order. It would sound like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, And if you were to number them, C would be 1 and D would be 2 and E would be 3. So most musicians don't talk in notes when they start becoming more professional. They talk in numbers. And this is because most instruments have patterns on them physically. And so the locations, for example, if I said play 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, the locations of those numbers would be the same no matter what key you'd be in. So it's actually kind of an impediment to think about the names of the notes. If you just know the numbers, you can play the right notes without knowing the names of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's kind of like on a harmonica. You know, I could take a C harmonica and go. I could take an A harmonica.
Yeah.
I moved my mouth the same way, and the same melody came out, but the A melody was lower than the C melody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the same concept. I'm physically moving the same way, and so it's almost like harmonica tablature, but it's for the entire musical community.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would come up with what chords I wanted the band to play. Right?
Yeah.
And so a progression is what chords you have, what order they come in, and how long you spend on each chord before you go to the next one. Right? And sometimes it's very simple, like most of us know the 12-bar blues progression, right? And sometimes it's more complex, right? Certain songs I'd really have to get on the piano and figure out, okay, what do I really want here? Oh, what an interesting chord. Oh, I see what that is, you know. And, you know, so I would write it down. When you write down a progression, that's called a chart. Right. So I would write down the chart and I would hand it to him. But on the chart, it wouldn't say the names of the chords. It would say the numbers. Right? So if it were in the key of C and I wanted them to play a C chord, I would write down 1. And if I wanted them to play a D chord, I would write down 2. Right?
Okay.
And I would have little notes about stop here, you know, so like the band would go bum ba dum ba dum ba dum bum. Right? There'd be a little note saying stop. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Steady your hand.
but correct. But in general, that was how I communicated with them. And then we had 2 practices, and you know, interesting things would happen, like things that I thought were obvious communication. Different musicians wouldn't communicate that way, and I would have to find a different way to communicate it to them. You know? And that's, you know, I find it to be the same way when I'm in a band. You know, every musician communicates differently. And one of the main goals that I've always had is to speak as many musical languages as possible. So once I figure out how a musician communicates, I can talk to that particular musician that way. Right?
That's wonderful. Yeah.
So we went into the studio, and what they do is they separate everybody. So there's like, they call them baffles, so that the sound of the guitarist is not bleeding into the microphone, picking up the sound of the drummer.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
Well, of course, yes.
Yep. And so everybody got separated, and they couldn't see me. I was in a completely different room, but they could hear me through their headphones. And sometimes you use a click track, which is basically a metronome. Right? And it'll go on in the ears of the headphones, and it'll play throughout the whole song. And that is, being able to play to a click track is really a skill to itself. And the problem with playing to a click track is, if you're really good at it, your music sounds very metronomic, but not so human. When you listen to like the work of pop music, they're definitely using a click track. right? They may be using real musicians, but they are using a click track, and that music is so metronomic that, in my opinion, it's a little stale. And so what we would do would be to play the metronome before the song began, and then the drummer would feel that metronome, and then say 1, 2, 3, 4, and the band would start playing, and the engineer would stop the metronome. So when you listen to the songs, there wasn't a click track. It was just the band feeling their way through the song, right? But
Right. Well, I have Logic Pro, and when I'm recording, I'll use the metronome in, and then it stops.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Same kind of thing. Very good. Yes. So quite often, for some of them, I would sing and play while it was going on, especially if we wanted a call and response thing. Like if I, oh baby, you don't have to go, ba-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding, right? If there was a call and response thing, I would definitely sing so the guitarist would have something to respond to, right? But if there wasn't the call and response thing going on, quite often I wouldn't sing at all, and I would just say verse, bridge, whenever something was coming up, whenever the song was about to change, I would remind them, so they didn't really have to look at the chart to understand the arrangement, right?
Yeah.
And so I would just call out what the next step in the song would be. But there were some times when I recorded harmonica, and there's one song in particular. I've been listening to the tracks in the last few days, and there's one song in particular that I could redo the harmonica part, but the only purpose for that would be to get a nicer tone. And certainly tone is important, but the tone that we got is pretty good, and the timing and the notes and the feeling that I did was exactly what I wanted. Like to the point where
great.
I don't think I could do it.
That's it.
You don't
have to change it.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to use that solo, right?
Yeah.
But so we spent 2 days, around 6 hours a day, 9 songs, and so then I've been listening to the songs. They sent me the tracks both with and without the vocals and the harmonica, right? Yeah. And the point of without the harmonica is so that I can and vocals, I can practice for the next 2 weeks, and I'll be practicing over the actual songs, right? So I can get a sense, because what I've been doing for a year and a half or even longer, I paid a friend of mine to play these songs on guitar, and I recorded them on GarageBand, and I've just been singing to these same recordings for a year and a half. And I mean, if you looked at, on an iPhone, they've got this thing, voice memos, where you press record.
I use it all the time. Yeah.
I have recorded for every one of these 9 songs, I've recorded maybe 500 versions, and every time I'll sing and I'll listen and I'll say, okay, that's doesn't work. I don't like that singing. And hey, that worked. What did I do right? Can I imitate that? And I mean, hundreds of times on this song using these, not terrible, but these backing tracks that my friend did on guitar, a couple of years ago. So now I finally have the real backing tracks. So that's nice. And I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks practicing.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And in 2 weeks from now, me and the producer will go in, and we'll get the pianist in there as well, and we'll get the McMurcy Family Band to sing the backups. And hopefully the fiddle player will have his part done. I haven't been bugging him, but, as I said, I'm a worrier. I want to bug him, but I've been leaving him alone. And hey, man, hey,
it's me again.
Get that done. Hey, and then I'm gonna get the. You can see kind of a basic album cover. I don't know if it's going to be the final album cover, but There is. Hey, Nedra, I'm going to be honest with you. Part of the reason I'm doing this podcast with you is because I have a GoFundMe, a fundraiser for
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's going to cost around $13,000 to make this CD. So my goal for the fundraiser is $6,500. I figure I would hopefully get met in the middle. And we've been doing
That would be good.
Yeah, we've been doing
I'll share a link to that. You give me all that information.
Thank
I'm going to put it with the podcast for you.
Thank you. Awesome. So, and anybody listening, anything you can do, I really appreciate it. And if what you can do is share it, that's great too. So in any case, if you look there, you'll see a cartoon of me and I'm doing yoga, but I'm worried and I'm pulling my hair out. And then behind me, there's two very relaxed people doing yoga, and they're completely, they're loving it, but I'm worried. So in any case,
that sounds fun.
We'll have all the parts, hopefully, by Tuesday, November 16th, I think it is. And today is like October 21st or something. I don't know. But in any case, so hopefully we'll have all the parts by then, and then we've got to mix it. So mixing is essentially volume issues, right? Yeah. Some instruments you want them a little louder, some you want quieter, and sometimes you got to do some editing to where you say it doesn't really sound good, right? And you just take it out, and then after we mix it comes a very mysterious process called mastering, and I don't think anybody understands what mastering is, but basically what it is, it's also a volume situation. But what they do is they look at the entire album and they try and make sure that there's nothing that's going too low or too loud, nothing that would shock you when you were listening to it. You know, like a drum hit that bam.
No, yeah, everything that I've done, I let CD Baby master it. And
they do it for you? That's great.
Well, you pay. Uh-huh. But when you're in the process, of ordering the CDs that I've loaded up, then I pay the extra for them to master, even it out, and make sure the timing's right between each. And because you don't want someone driving their car listening to your CD or your track, and then all of a sudden the next one comes out on and it's 10 times louder. So they got to turn their radio down. And so that's what I've been doing with the CDs that Julio and I make. But it's much easier for us because there's just the two of us. We're a duo and we don't add anything else to it. Yours is a total amazing project. It sounds wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I've done duo albums in the past though, and they're just as much work, I think. So in any case, at that point, hopefully the graphic designer will have his stuff ready, and then we'll send it off to a reproducing place where I'll probably make around 300 copies. You know, nobody buys CDs anymore.
Yeah.
And then you know, probably for a few months, it'll be available through paid download, right? And then somewhere in there, I'll break down, because the reality, like I said, nobody buys CDs anymore because they're streaming, and I have every CD in the world. Why do I need to pay $10 on your CD? And so ultimately, probably a few months after that, I'll stream it. And so if you're waiting to streaming, it's going to happen.
Well, you know, the thing, what I found, I put on a lot of concerts here in town, and we've done our CD release parties, and people that follow you and come to your shows want a CD still.
They still buy it.
They still do, and they want that in their hands, and that part's really wonderful. But you're right, online, it's all streamed, and then everything has algorithms, and you get your chart of where it's playing, and you get your check. And so for us, that's worked out the best. But when we do a CD, we generally will have a CD release party, and at this point I order them at 100, and that, you know, because we're in a real small rural area, yet we do okay, you know. So you get the T-shirts and the promo stuff, and it's fun. That part of it is really, really the fun part, because you've done all the work and here's the product.
Yeah.
You know, that's your joy right there when they're all coming up and wanting you to sign it and buy it. So
Well,
that's fun.
I'm not sure if I will have an actual gig, a CD release party, because I would have to hire this band all
You'd
over
have to
again,
hire,
or another band. But we'll see. I'm not worried about it. I get to
yeah.
perform all the time. It's not that big of a deal. But it would be my own thing, and that would be nice. But yeah, one thing, and I don't want to play the victim here, but just so everybody understands, some people don't know, when you stream, the artist gets around 0.00005 cents for every song they listen to. So people who have like a number one hit make around $1,000 off of their streaming in a year, right? So there's zero money for the artist in streaming. So one more plug. So when you do the GoFundMe, that's really it's like paying the artist for the CD, right? It's your way to give the artist a little bit of money, because there's no money in streaming.
There isn't, everybody. So you hit that link and you go and help with this, because it's a labor of love and it's your heart and soul. It's your songs. And I was just sitting out back telling who, because I got one in my head, and I don't care. I want my songs to be heard because they're my songs.
That's right.
They come from me. They're from my experience. And when people hear them and it brings them some relating to you, that's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
You've got to get it out. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So I thought if you're willing, if we still have time, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the equipment I'm using. So besides some acoustic,
share it.
Acoustic work, I'm using. I went to Dennis Grunling and I said, "Give me some good stuff." So if you know badassharmonica.com,
I know that badass.
Yeah, he sells mics and amplifiers. So one thing I got was a Shure Bullet microphone from the 40s, although the crystal element is new, and it sounds great. And then I got a amplifier. It's a Gibson GA40, which is from the 50s. And it's got the name Les Paul on it. Les Paul was a famous guitarist.
Yeah.
And so it's the Les Paul model. And I'm really excited about this amplifier because when you play two notes at once, that's called a double stop. And when you play three or more notes at once, that's called a chord. The double stops and chords sound so special. It's hard to explain how good it sounds. And then the other thing that I feel like this amp does very well is picks up low pitches. So when I play like a double, I have
God bless you. Yeah, he's having some allergies or something over there, guys.
It's allergies. And
allergies.
So when I play like a double low F, which I am doing on this album.
Those are so nice. Oh, I bet that sounds good.
It picks it up really, really well. And yep. So I think I'm going to send you a track to include that people can listen to. And I will tell you, there is a double OF on this track, but it's acoustic, because when we recorded my scratch stuff, we didn't use any amps. But just know that this song is just when you listen to this song, just know that this song is incomplete, right? It hasn't been mixed. The fiddle player's not on there yet. The harmonica is not amplified yet, right? But I think you'll like it. It's called "Go Milk Your Own Cow," and it's just a fun little danceable song about a guy who has a cow and another person seems to want to milk his cow. Well, that's not going to work.
That does not work.
So then.
Well, now, Michael, when you get the song done and it is on the CD, we're going to have to do another interview so everybody can hear some of that.
All about it, please, let's do it.
All right.
So then I also have an old Supro amplifier. It's a very small amplifier, but it's got this beautiful, beautiful crunch. And I can actually combine these amplifiers. I can plug into one amplifier and then plug that amplifier into the other. And it combines the two sounds, and it's really, really
My
cool.
goodness.
Yeah. So then, harmonica-wise, I'm mostly a special 20 guy, and when I work with overblows and stuff, I use harmonicas by Joe Spears, and I get the stage 3.
Yes.
The stage 3, but as far as I know, he's not doing overdraws anymore. He got a little tired of the work, and so I got my harmonicas before he stopped doing the overdraws. So it's a stage.
I have mine too. Yeah, I have all stage 3s.
Yep.
And he went to where he doesn't do those as much.
Yeah.
I guess because it is hard work, huh? Is that? Yeah.
You could probably talk to him about it. I'm sure he'd be willing. But in any case, I fully support Joe Spears, and hopefully I haven't talked out of turn in any way with what I just said. I think he's the greatest.
Well, exactly. He is the best. David Barrett is who told me about Joe, because I was looking for someone back in the day to make my first set, and I had him do that, and his work is excellent. Yes.
Yep. So then I also use some Seidels, but for chromatic, I like Suzuki Sirius. And I actually use 4 different Suzuki Siriuses on this album. One is a 16-hole. One is a bass Sirius. So when I play one blow, it sounds like this.
Oh, nice.
Then one is a standard chromatic. But then I also use a tuning called bebop tuning, where 4-blow is not C. I think on chromatic, 4-blow and 5-blow are both C. And so 4-blow is kind of unnecessary. And so what I do instead is I make it a B flat, and then when you raise it, it goes up to B. And this changes the blow chord from a C major chord to a C dominant 7th chord. And let's see if I've got it here. That's a regular harp. Hold on 1 second. So it gives you this sound. Oh, I'm so sorry. My ear screwed up. This is the first one. It's the special one. So it's kind of got the same sound you get when you draw on a diatonic.
Yeah.
Right. And what this enables you to do, besides getting a chord and certain licks become easier, what this enables you to do is to play 2 notes at once, and by tongue blocking, and I can get any combination of C, E, G, or B flat. So whereas most people could get C, E, C, G, and E and G, that's where it would stop. But for me, I can also get C and B flat, E and B flat, and G and B flat. And I can do the same thing a half step up. And so it just gives me a lot more options in terms of double stop playing. And the other thing I do that's kind of special on diatonic, besides using some low harps, is I really love country tuned harmonicas. And a country tuned harmonica, if 5 draw on a regular harp is the 4th note in the major scale of the actual harp, when you play it in 2nd position, cross harp, the key of G on a C harp, for example, 5 draw is not in the G major scale. So normally the G major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, the T note is an F sharp. And on a C harmonica, it's not an F sharp. 5 draw is F. And you can produce that F sharp, but you have to do it by overblowing. And overblowing, as we know, creates a different tonality, and sometimes it doesn't pop out. You want it to pop out, and it doesn't. So a country tuned harmonica will change that 5 draw F into an F sharp.
Okay,
And
that's good because I was trying to explain that to someone yesterday, and I did not explain it as well.
so what
Yeah,
it enables you
yeah,
to do is get that G major scale. So you're in the main position that everybody plays, the key of G on a C harp, second position. And you get a full do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale with only one bend. 3 double bend is A. Other than that, you don't have to do any overblows. So it's a wonderful harp for playing country music because country music so often uses the major scale, right?
yeah,
And so that's why they call it the country tune harp. And if you listen to guys like Charlie McCoy, they're using it a lot.
yeah. I only have one. I have the one that Steve Baker did, and I only have it in a C because
Yes.
we don't play a lot of country, but I do have one of those,
So
and that's interesting.
I
Thank
have a full set. I love them. And in any case, I rarely use it for second position. I have found it really sounds good in fifth, sixth, and seventh position. And so on this album, if you really wanted to study the harmonica stuff that I'm doing, like, hey, what's going on in this song? You're like, I can't figure it out. You may want to think to yourself, could he be using a country tune harmonica, and could he be in fifth, sixth, or seventh position? Because I'm gonna pull that on you a few times on the album, and that's a good clue if you're listening to something and it's like, what's going on? That's what's going on.
Nice, yeah. And we know there's guys that are going to be going to want to know.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah,
That's part of the fun, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. So I that's what I came in wanting to say. But if you have any questions, I mean,
Well, I for where you live, you're in the heart of everything. So you've got an array of wonderful music all around you that you've been involved in. So this is kind of like a cumulation of everything you know and have done in your own project. My hats off. I think it's a brave project. I think it's a wonderful project, and I can't wait to hear it. Here in our little area, we don't have too many studios. A lot of the musicians, well, I do. One of my friends is working on a whole project where he's doing the vocals here and some of his guitar work, and then they're all in studio somewhere else. And he's done a whole CD that way, and it's a wonderful CD. We just had a release party on it, and so there's lots of ways to do it, but you actually get to go and sit in the heart of this wonderful studio with
yeah.
these people that know what they're doing, and so it's going to be wonderful. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited about it, and I hope it's everything so far is promising really big things. That it's going to be great. I hope you enjoy the song I'm going to send over to you, and I hope that you remember it's not complete, but
Okay.
but that you like it, and yeah.
Well, I'm looking
So,
forward to it, and we'll get this up, and you send me the written information of things that we've talked about, so I can put it under the blog for people to refer to. Um, once they download it, they've got it, but they can go to the site that it's on and find the information out that links back to you.
yeah.
So it'll take me a few days to get everything up and
Okay.
correct.
And I'll send it to you by the end of the night tonight. Right after you, I have a brand new student, so I've got to do that.
Oh, that's
So yeah, if
wonderful.
anybody wants to take lessons, I do that too.
You do those via Skype, correct?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
But
I do know that.
Yeah,
That's
if you
wonderful.
prefer another platform like Zoom or FaceTime or Facebook Messenger, I do it all.
Oh yeah, there's lots of ways now that people are hooking up and getting together to do things like that. That's wonderful. Well, I want to thank you. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today about what's going on there in Austin, Texas. And I got to see you at the Zoom spa, which was wonderful, and I enjoyed it, and all the teachers there. And hopefully next year we'll get to see you in person and come up to the booth, and I can buy one of your CDs.
Nice. Thank
Right.
you.
Okay.
I really appreciate you. Thank you for this.
You bet. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Well, there you have it, and a lot of good information there, and things that pertain to harmonica and tuners and people who make the wonderful amps and microphones. And there's a lot in this interview that Michael's given us here. I'm going to play the song for you as the last part of this, and he sent me over the rough cut, and it is fun, but it's humorous and also has quite a few things on harmonica. So you'll hear him talking to the people that'll be there that aren't. He says fiddle, and like he was telling us that these rough tracks are what they're working from. So we're going to hear the rough track, and then when the CD comes out, we're going to do an interview and hear some more and hear what it sounds like once it's gone through all the transformation with these wonderful producers and studio musicians there in Austin, Texas. So if you like this interview, check out the rest of the podcast. I have another one with Michael a little bit back in the list there. So stay tuned, and opportunities come up, and I do these podcasts when I can. I'm also pretty busy myself in town doing things for my Blue Mountain Coalition for Youth and Families, and also festivals and shows for Nedra and Julio, as well as the Harmonica Lady original harmonica art and artable, wearable, fantastic items. So check out all the links below, and you can find more stuff, more information as you go to my website. There's blogs and different interviews, and I keep up on this because I enjoy it. It's all done out of the goodness of my heart and my love for harmonica and wanting to get the word out to let people know the versatility as well as the joy of being a harmonicist. Until next time, here's the song. Over and out.
1, 2, 3, 4.